I was a dead man walking. I walked down the street, but I was already dead inside. I weighed 120 kilos. I was slowly suffocating in public. My own weight was crushing me, and I applauded my own destruction. I lied to myself. Every single day I lied. I looked in the mirror in the morning. I saw the decline. I saw the physical ruin, but I ignored the brutal reality right in front of me. I closed my eyes so I wouldn't see the monster I had created. I said that work was to blame for everything. I said that financial pressure was the real culprit. I used every pathetic and predictable excuse from the Weakling's Handbook. I was a weak-minded man trapped in the chains of a sick body. Even the most basic tasks were hell. Climbing 5 damn steps felt like medieval torture. My lungs burned. It was like breathing liquid fire. I broke out in a cold sweat just from standing in the middle of a room. I couldn't catch my breath. Tying my own shoes left me out of breath. The car seatbelt felt like a rope tightening around my neck. I felt ashamed. Shame clung to my skin, but I kept on eating. The pain and shame didn't stop me. Day after day, I kept digging my own grave. I used my own teeth to dig into the dirt. My fork was my shovel. Fast food was my cheap anesthesia. I was cowardly running away from my real life. I was hiding from myself behind mountains of processed food. I was an addict, and my dealer was the food industry. Denial is a dangerous drug. It blinds you. You build a wall of comfortable lies around yourself. You think you're safe. You think sudden death only happens to other people, never to you. You think your body can take this insane abuse forever, but biology doesn't forgive anyone. Biology doesn't listen to your sad excuses. Your heart couldn't care less about your office stress. Your liver doesn't care about your financial anxiety. They don't have feelings. They're just flesh machines. They just take the hit. They work 3 times their capacity every second just to keep your giant structure alive. And one day they get tired. One day the whole machine collapses and the lights go out. And that dark day came for me. The day of reckoning knocked violently on my door. It wasn't a gentle warning whispered in my ear. It was a brutal explosion. My body just stopped. My blood pressure hit absurd, deadly levels. 22/18. The red numbers flashed on the hospital monitor like a bomb alarm. 22/18. My blood was pounding against the walls of my veins with force. My head throbbed like a war drum. My chest felt like it was being crushed under the tire of a heavy truck. I was right on the edge of a massive heart attack. I was just millimeters away from the absolute end of my story. Darkness was sitting right there beside me. I could smell the cold scent of death in the room, but the physical pain wasn't the worst part of this hell. The crushed chest wasn't my biggest fear. The real corrosive terror was in my mind. The true open-eyed nightmare was standing right next to me. My wife. She was there, looking at me with tears of panic in her eyes. She was 9 months pregnant. Her belly held my future. My son was about to be born at any moment. He was going to arrive in this world in a matter of days or hours. And his father was lying on a cold hospital gurney, dying. Dying because of pizza. Dying because of pure chronic laziness. Dying because he was too weak, too much of a coward to just keep his mouth shut. My son was going to grow up without a father figure. He would look at the old photographs on the wall. He would see a fat man who didn't have the basic strength and discipline to stay alive and take care of him. The guilt hit me like a chunk of lead. The guilt tore up my insides. It was a poison knife stabbed right into the center of my soul. I could barely breathe, but the emotional pain was a million times worse than the lack of air in my lungs. I was an absolute failure as a provider and protector. I was abandoning my family on the battlefield before the war of their lives had even begun. I was leaving my wife alone to carry the weight of the world. The bedroom door opened. The doctor walked into the room. Suddenly, the atmosphere turned freezing cold. The air felt like stone. He was holding my medical chart in his hands. He didn't give a friendly smile. He didn't try to calm me down with words of encouragement. He didn't hold my hand like they do in drama movies. He was a serious professional looking at a patient committing suicide with a knife and fork. He didn't have a single ounce of pity for my miserable situation. He walked over to the edge of my iron bed. He looked deep into my eyes. His gaze was cold, surgical, and piercing. He didn't use any pretty words from the acceptance movement. He didn't suggest a light diet to make me feel better. He handed down my official death sentence. He was the most brutal and straightforward person I've ever met. He opened his mouth and said the sentence that shattered my world in two. He said, "Either you lose weight right now, this very minute, or you won't be alive on this planet to see your child turn 1 year old." Total silence. The whole room was plunged into silence. Those words hit me in the face like a brick. They hit me like a runaway freight train. It was the biggest and most painful slap in the face I've ever received in my life. The doctor didn't blink. He didn't back down. He was giving me an undeniable mathematical fact. 260 pounds, blood pressure 22/18, a baby on the way. The obvious outcome of that equation was a closed casket and tears at a cemetery in less than 12 months. That terrifying moment was my own personal shootout. The gun was cocked and pressed hard against my head. The hammer was pulled back. The finger of death was trembling on the trigger. I had to make a choice in that exact terrible second. The most important choice of my entire existence on earth. Would I be a pathetic coward who would run away and abandon my own newborn son? Or would I be a real man, stand up and fight for my survival with blood in my eyes? I didn't have the luxury of time to cry. I didn't have time to act like the world's poor victim. The whiny victim died on that hospital gurney. The weak, overweight man, full of self-pity, was left lying there on that white sheet, stained with sweat. I chose to fight. I declared all-out war. I declared a bloody war against my own sick mind. I declared eternal war against my weakness. Survival became my only acceptable path. Transformation was no longer an option. It was an order. I didn't leave that hospital and go home to cry my sorrows away in the shower. I didn't go looking for comforting words or pats on the back from friends who would just coddle me. I didn't turn on my phone to watch cute motivational videos with inspiring music. Pay very, very close attention to what I'm about to hit you with right now. Motivation is the biggest scam ever invented by the modern industry. Motivation is pure commercial garbage. Motivation is a cheap, fleeting feeling, tailor-made for weak people who need to babysit themselves. Think about that. Today, you have plenty of motivation. The sun is shining in the sky, you bought new and expensive workout clothes, you watched a video of a guy screaming on the internet, and you feel absolutely invincible. But what about the big test tomorrow? It will rain heavily tomorrow. Tomorrow, your boss will yell at you in front of the entire team. Tomorrow, you come home exhausted and have a huge fight with your wife about bills to pay. Where is your precious and fragile motivation tomorrow night? It's gone. It evaporates into thin air at the very first sign of discomfort in your life. Motivation runs away when pain shows up. I didn't look for divine inspiration. I set out to build a cold, brutally tough, and totally relentless discipline. I took my deepest, darkest fear and turned it into focused rage. I took the paralyzing panic of dying young and leaving my wife a widow and turned it into my daily nuclear fuel. I turned emotional despair into pure, repetitive, mechanical action. I looked at my newborn son. I held his tiny body in my big, weak arms, and I made a silent, unbreakable vow to him and to myself. The whole world could go up in flames around me, but never again, at any point in my life, would I be a victim of my own story. I would be the relentless author of my own destiny. A lot of people message me on social media these days. They look at my old photos, they see my body now, they witness my physical and mental transformation, and most of them, looking for a magic pill, ask the same pathetic, repetitive question. They say, "Johnny, how do you have so much focus every day? I wish I had a little bit of that magic motivation you have. I've said this 1,000 times and I'll keep repeating it until you get it. My big secret isn't motivation. My secret is perfectly controlled desperation. I changed my life by smashing my weakness to pieces day after day. I didn't wait for the famous next Monday to show up on the calendar. I didn't wait for the stars to align or for the perfect moment to appear. The perfect moment is a devilish invention to keep you fat, docile, and stuck on the couch. I started taking action in the darkness of the morning. I started taking action while my heavy body screamed for help and rest. I started working out, dragging my exhaustion across the gym floor. I took all my old excuses and cut them off at the root. And how did I make this magic happen? Simple. I stopped negotiating with my pain. I treated my intense workouts and strict diet like basic, essential personal hygiene. Pay close attention and engrave this rule into your soul. You don't wake up motivated and jumping for joy to brush your teeth, right? Nobody wakes up leaping out of bed excited to floss their back teeth, but what do? You go and brush them every single day of your life. It could be pouring rain outside. You could be running super late for a crucial meeting at work. You might have only slept 3 hours and look like a zombie, but you still drag yourself to the bathroom sink and brush your teeth without question. Why? Because it's a non-negotiable habit. It's the most basic level of self-respect. That's exactly, no more and no less, how you need to see weight training. That's how your clean, junk-free eating needs to be too. An absolute duty, cold, blind, and automatic. What really brings results, what truly builds muscle and melts away fat, is doing exactly what needs to be done on the days when you have absolutely no desire to do anything at all. The real glory lies in the day you want to give up, but don't. And what was the big result of that military-style discipline? What was the ultimate reward for refusing the temporary relief of sugar in exchange for a permanent gain in life? I dropped dramatically from 120 kilos to the 82 kilos I weigh today. Think about how serious that is. Close your eyes and imagine that weight. Almost 40 kilos of pure toxic fat were melted off my body. 40 kilos of mental weakness, lame excuses, late night lies, and chronic victimhood were destroyed and swept into the trash forever. I was reborn from the ashes of that obese man. But pay attention, I'm not done yet. The war never ends. My ultimate goal, my next finish line, is to hit 75 kilos, lean and dry. I still live in the dirty trenches every day. I still fight internal, silent battles against the demon of laziness. The monster I created in the past still tries to whisper sweet lies in my ear when I'm tired, but now the tables have turned. I have absolute control. I rule the rules in my mind. The monster sits and obeys. And then you, sitting on the couch, eating a pack of cookies, might look at the screen and say that classic line from people who love to shift the blame. Oh, Johnny, but it's easy for you to say. In your case, it was the fear of losing your son that motivated you to change. Your doctor talked about your baby. I don't have any kids at home to give me that survival focus. Stop saying that kind of nonsense right now. Listen to how absurd your own voice sounds trying to defend itself from the attack. Pay attention to how selfish your excuse is. If you don't have kids running around the living room, you still have your own life in your hands. Does your own existence mean nothing to you? Don't you have even a shred of honor or respect for the person trapped inside this sick body? Understand this universal truth. If you have a massive heart attack tomorrow morning and drop dead on the cold bathroom tile, everything, absolutely everything you desperately chased after in life gets left behind that very second. All that money you saved up in the bank will just be there for someone else to spend. The shiny new car you polish in the garage will be left for someone else to drive. Your big plans and travel dreams get buried in the same hole as you. Everything vanishes like smoke the very moment your heart, weakened by fat, stops beating. Your shallow motivation disappears at the first big emotional storm in life. But your central goal, your primary order to stay alive and breathing, that can't disappear or falter. No way. Your own animal instinct for survival has to be your unquestionable master. If you lose your life just for the pleasure of chewing on sugar, you lose the whole game of existence. It's game over for good because of a piece of bread. Pick your goal and act like a responsible adult once and for all. Focus intensely and painfully on what you will lose for good if you keep eating that processed junk. Overeating won't cure your chronic sadness or your loneliness. Food delivery won't pay your debts or fix your childhood traumas. It'll just speed up and make your express trip to the cemetery easier. Stop right now looking for a magic solution, scrolling endlessly on Instagram. The revolutionary weight loss pill doesn't exist. That tea that supposedly melts belly fat in 7 days is a criminal scam to take your hard-earned money and laugh in your face. What really exists is hard, repetitive work. What exists is cold sweat, calluses on your hands, and manageable muscle pain. What exists is the strength of character to look at a plate full of tempting junk, feel the craving screaming in your brain, and have the moral courage to say a resounding no. Don't be just another slave to your unstable emotions. Master your emotions like a general through daily physical action. Your human body is your only true home on this earth. If you deliberately destroy the structure of this house day after day, you'll have nowhere to run when the storm comes. Treat your physical body with the most brutal, sacred, and rigorous respect you can muster within yourself. The warning has been given in this message. My story is not a fable. It's living proof in flesh, bone, and sweat, but you can come back from the deepest depths of the abyss. I walked back on my own 2 feet from the hospital's death row. I escaped the doctor's final sentence. Now, the clock is ticking, and it's your turn to play. Stop acting like a scared lab rat running through the endless maze of the food industry. Take control of the steering wheel of your life. Non-negotiably. Look back at the last 24 hours. What's the big, comforting lie you've been telling yourself every night on your pillow before you fall asleep? What's the exact, dirty excuse that keeps you comfortably fat, lethargic, and weak in the face of your problems? Go down to the comment section right now and confess your sin. Write your lie in big, bold, all caps letters for the whole world to see who you used to be. Bring your worst weakness into the harsh light of day so it can burn away and disappear. Kill that excuse right here, right now by watching this video. Don't you dare leave this for tomorrow. The perfect tomorrow never comes. Endless tomorrows are the promised land of losers. Make the hardest choice right now. Subscribe to this channel if you're finally ready for the war of your life. Join the side of survivors who refuse to die early. Join the strong. Save your own life from disaster and build your unbreakable legacy.